Welcome to the Northwest Provincial Government Podcast. We inspire and encourage our communities through personally inspiring stories of our leaders in government and game changers in our communities. Enjoy this episode.
A very warm welcome to our viewers across the Northwest Province and beyond. This is the fourth episode of the Northwest Provincial Government Podcast with your host, Kelezo Ratlhagane. Seated in conversation with me today is the MEC for the Department of Arts, Culture, Sports and Recreation, the Honorable MEC Mokone Collen Maine. Dumela Mokhuduthamaga, o amogetswe.
Ke a leboga mma tse tshone ke go dumedise ke dumedise le botlhe ba reditseng go gae.
Ra leboga. Fa re simolola fela Mokhuduthamaga re thadisetse gore wena o mang, o tlhaga kae, o tsaletse kae?
Well, like you said, my name is Mokone Collen Maine. I was born and bred in the Northwest Province, in Taung, in a village called Bolalema. That's where I grew up. I'm a very proud citizen of our province, and I'm very jealous about our province, and I commit that everything I do will be to the benefit of the people of the province.
Okay, but then how did you venture into politics?
Well, as you know, part of the Northwest was some of the areas or part of the Northwest are from the then called Bophuthatswana area. So during the uprisings in the Bophuthatswana in the early 90s, my father was amongst those who were arrested. I think I was still aged 11 or 12 during that area. So when my father was arrested, because when my grandmother passed away, myself and my little sister were only left to our father. And that arrest then motivated me. I started attending the meetings at that tender age of the African National Congress. And I've been active ever since that. And when my father appeared in court here in Mabato, I was selected amongst those comrades, not because I was his son, who must attend the court hearing and to come and protest. I went to high school in Ipelecheng. I then met Comrade Warabile Makauta and Comrade Itisenkini Morolo, who were the leaders of COSAS in that area. So remember, I was from Taung.
Yes.
So I went to a township. So I was then introduced to COSAS by those two comrades. And I grew politically at that time. In the ANC, there was a process called realignment. I was then appointed a chairperson of a structure that was called by the then provincial chairperson of the Youth League in the province, Suprema Humapelo. There's a structure called Mikoko. It is called Municipal Coordinating Council.
Okay.
Later, I was then appointed as an employee, my first job, to be the regional organizer of the ANC Youth League in the Dr. RSM region, where I come from. After some 2 years, I was then elected as the deputy chairperson of the ANC Youth League in the Northwest Province. The next conference after that one, I was elected as the provincial chairperson of the ANC Youth League in the province. 2 years later, I was then elected the president of the ANC Youth League in South Africa. And then 2 years later again, I was elected into the National Executive Committee of the ANC. And you would know that if you go and read the constitution of the Youth League, if you are a president of Youth League, you also become a member of the National Working Committee of the ANC Youth League. So I hear in the streets, people are calling it the most powerful body, the NWC. But the constitution says the highest decision-making body of the ANC is the NEC. So those are the structures that I have served politically.
Well, then, MEC, you were recently sworn in as the member of the provincial legislature and given the responsibility to lead the Department of Arts, Culture, Sport and Recreation. What does this responsibility mean to you?
I receive this with humility, and I'm cognizant of the expectations of our people in the arts industry, the sports, the music, the creative industry. And I also know of the challenges that are faced by our institution, Mabana. Mabana has over the years deteriorated. Simply put, it's not driving what it used to drive during those olden days. And when I came in, I had a meeting with the management and the board of Mabana. And I said to them that we need to shake up and ensure that we produce artists like we did before as Mabana, actors. And I also know that there are challenges. For instance, during the unrest here in Mafikeng, both the Mabana Mahikeng and the headquarters were torched, and we're going to require resources to bring the institution to back where it was. But be that as it may, it doesn't take away the fact that from a management and governance point of view, there are weaknesses in Mabana. And we are working tirelessly to ensure that we turn around the situation. I want to say to the young people of the province that they should see this department and its institutions, particularly Mabana, as a platform of hope, but we must make them to believe in what we say.
Mm-hmm. But then, MEC, you articulated two various challenges that actually face artists within the creative industry. Let's look at those challenges, particularly looking at the Northwest Province, where artists and those creatives actually face challenges of having access to resources. Funding is one of the challenges that they have, and also just access to infrastructure, be it studios for them to actually harness their creativity. What plans do you have as a department to make sure that you're responsive to some of these challenges?
Well, look, it's quite a difficult question to respond to. We must help the artists first and foremost. Mm-hmm. But we went out on adverts requesting proposals from artists. And those proposals amounted to around 194 million rand. Mm-hmm. And the allocation we got from the provincial treasury is 2 million rands. So I said to the management of the department, I believe in breaking new grounds. Mm-hmm. Meaning that we should not only focus on what we have internally, the 2 million. Mm-hmm. We must go out and engage private sector to come on board. We have met with Sibanye Mines. We are almost there in terms of the agreement. We will be meeting on the 5th with the Motsepe Foundation. We have lined up meeting with many stakeholders, your BMW South Africa and all of that, because I believe that working in partnership with the people in the private sector would be able to help us. Mm-hmm. And what I also said is that some of the activities that are offered at Mabana, if you take, for instance, where I come from in Taung, let me not talk about Taung, let me talk about Lihorutsi. Mm-hmm. A young person from the Nukana would not be able to come and access or travel to Mabana Lihorutsi every day because it requires traveling and. So we are going to engage with municipalities, traditional leaders, that some of the activities that we are offering in Mabana should be offered in our various community halls. And then the private sector will come in to ensure that those who must help those people to become stars in the future are then plugged in those community halls. So in doing that, I believe that then we will be decentralizing the activities from the 3 Mabana institutions we are having in the province, literally. We only have 3. In Dr. KK, we are operating in a hall. In Bujanala, we are operating in a very dilapidated school and all of that. But I believe that using these community halls would then be able to help us to produce better artists and
Well, let me see. You're talking about breaking new grounds, and I saw that you hit the ground running by delivering your first budget speech within the department. How was that experience for you, and are you able to take us through some of the highlights within your budget speech?
Well, I'm sure the people of the Northwest would know that it was the first budget speech in this administration. But I delivered budget speeches previously because I was given a responsibility by the ruling party to be MEC of social development at some point, and also to be MEC of the Department of Coxstar at some point. So it was not something new. But the highlights of the budget speech now is that we committed that we are going to be building libraries, cultural villages. What also we are saying in the budget speech is that we need to coordinate sporting activities. You see, every mayor in the province has got what they call mayoral cups. But talent is then not noticed and harnessed from that because it just ends there. It's a mayoral cup, Dau mayoral cup, it ends there. There's nobody from professional teams who comes and scouts these people who are playing soccer, netball, and. So we are going to be introducing in this financial year a Northwest Premier Cup. Now that Premier Cup, what we'll then do is that we'll coordinate all these sporting activities from the various municipalities, which will then culminate into a provincial event, where we would have then invited scouters from all the PSL teams so that our talent can be exposed to national. Otherwise, as I'm saying, well, to engage in sporting, whereas it keeps you healthy and all of that, but we've got talent that is unnoticed because we are not coordinated. So we think that we ought to do that to ensure that we coordinate it and we have as many players as possible in the Northwest who are appearing at national. At the moment, we only have one player who's playing for Pirates from Bloemhof. And it is important on the issue of building libraries. You know, resources allowing, would want every community in the province to have a library, because the libraries we are building now are not just libraries that we just built. It's libraries that, for instance, has areas where our students from rural areas where there are no community halls and are able to study. We open the library 24 hours. That particular area, that is, or section, that is for students to study. And our libraries, all of them, they are connected with Wi-Fi to enable them to do their research and all of those things that they would need. Because we want to help the Department of Education, the MEC says their target is 90%. So we think that by building these libraries, connecting them to Wi-Fi, connecting Wi-Fi to them, would enable us to, the Department of Education, to realize that dream. But also, it's also information to students and community members. Our libraries, people can print their CVs when they have seen some job opportunities and all of those things. Yes.
Okay. No, quite elaborative plans, and I'm sure that our viewers out there look forward to seeing the budget speech being actionalized. Now, MEC, we're able to have discussions behind the scenes while preparing for this podcast. Quite a charismatic MEC, a young MEC who's very energetic by in nature and also stature. I would just want to know, MEC, what kind of a leader would you say you are?
Well, I want to rephrase that question. I can't judge myself and say I'm this kind of a leader. I don't believe in doing that. I want to leave that for the people of the Northwest and for posterity to judge.
Okay.
But I believe for me, leadership is about intelligence, trustworthiness, humanness, and courageous, to be a courageous leader. So I would not want to say I'm this kind of leader, but I think that a leader must have these attributes that I just spoken to now. Yeah, so what kind of a leader? It's up to everybody else to judge, not myself. I can't say that about myself. Yes.
Okay, then. But then, MEC, I see that you have brought with you a book, and I managed to take a peep previously in our engagement at the book that you're holding. I'm not sure if it is the same book. What book is that, and why did you particularly choose to bring it on set today?
Well, this book is called The Art of War.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read this book almost every day. I've gone through a number of books reading, but I like this book in particular because I'm a politician. And lessons from this book, I like them very much. One of the things that I like about, in page 11 of this book, paragraph 3, it defines how I want to be remembered. It says that even if you are brave, appear to be cowardly. I like that very much. Even if you are strong, appear to be very weak. And I'm raising just these two particular things from this book because I'm not a person who believes in pomposity. And as I said, I'm not a person who would say I'm this kind of a leader. And I'm not a person who, because I'm from a village, when I get somewhere, I don't want people to feel that an MEC has arrived. I like it when I'm unnoticed. I want to be a man of the people, an ordinary person. That's who I am. So I like the teachings from this book a lot. I would spend about 4 hours if I were to quote section of the book that I like. But also this book teaches me that, or has taught me that even if you detest a person, but if that person is performing very well, that must be acknowledged. So I think all of us in the leadership must have that attribute.
MEC, having grown up in a village of Taung, would you ever have imagined, or did you ever imagine that you would be where you are today? Looking back at where you are and the experiences you had as a young man growing up in Taung, did that young man ever think you would be here today?
Honestly, not. I never thought that I would be MEC at some point or any other position that was assigned to me, whether through government deployments or politically. I'm a Christian. I believe that it's by the grace of the Lord Almighty that I've attained that, all those responsibilities. But also, I think, is the confidence of the people that I'm working with. Because I don't believe that I have made myself. I'm a product of the masses of our people. So I believe that is the God, is the Lord, and the confidence that the people that I've worked with over the years believe that if I'm given a responsibility, I would be able to execute. So I never thought. And these things, I normally say to my colleagues in the political arena.
Mhm.
That distance I tshwanela bokgosi.
Yeah.
Leaders come and go. I was MEC at some point. I left. I was and.
Mhm.
So, you can be a khosi for as long as you are alive. So here we come and go. And when we are given the responsibility in government or elsewhere, the best you can do is to perform to the best of your abilities. And we are not perfect as human beings. Because it's honestly sometimes you blunder. But what is important to humble yourself and say, here I failed. That's what I believe in.
Talking about the people who were a driving force or inspiration as you were growing up and actually pushed you into the direction that you've taken, who are those people?
Well, I've got two leaders that I admire a lot. One is the longest serving president of the ANC, Oliver Reginald Tambo. OR led the ANC during the most difficult times. But he was able to hold the organization intact. And during the first conference of the ANC after the unbending in 1991 in Durban, he handed over the organization. He never said, I have held the ANC together for more than 30 years. And I want to continue because the possibility of us getting into government and all the perks that comes with being in government. But he said something very important. He said that I'm handing over the organization intact and united. So that for me is a leader that I'm looking up to. The other leader is the first president, the father of our nation, Tata Nelson Mandela. The apartheid regime has subjected him to a lot of bad things. But when he came out of prison, because it was not about himself, it is about the people, he preached a message of unity. He led the ANC into saying that let's ban military operations. Let's ban MK operations and all of that thing. Let's unite. Let's focus on social cohesion. Let's take South Africa forward. Ordinarily, any other person, a Collen would seek revenge. But Nelson Mandela is that leader. And that is what inspires me.
I cannot sit across a former leader of the ANC Youth League and not ask this question. MEC, in your view, let's look at history where young people were quite instrumental in the activism that actually brought us to the freedom that we've attained. You look at your Pitabo Gavas, your TNC Machininis, your and all that, who were quite instrumental when they were in student movements and rose up in politics to actually bring us to the change that they wanted to see. Now, would you say that the young people of today are equally as hungry to actually pursue the change that they want to see as the young people of yesteryear? And how can you motivate them if your answer is otherwise?
Well, I think that young people of today must be eager to become all those leaders that you mentioned. We should not be materialistic as young people. We shouldn't be selfish. All the leaders you mentioned have ought to engage or involve in the revolutionary struggle to better the lives of other young people. So my answer is in twofold to your question. It's a yes and no. Yes, because you see through the structures, and I'll talk too much about the ANC because I'm a member of the ANC, so I don't focus in other political parties, except when we engage on the ground and contest the elections. You see in the ANC Youth League, before I became a president, we adopted a slogan called economic freedom in our lifetime. And I believe that even today, the current leadership of the Youth League, and I know that they will be marching to JSE sometimes next month to demand that there must be economic freedom in our lifetime, because our belief then and now is that it's not only government that can deliver economic freedom in our lifetime. Remember, government's responsibility is to regulate, make it conducive for investors to come and invest in the country. But we were saying then and now, and the leadership of the Youth League now, they're saying that, but the economy must be distributed. It cannot be that 30 years into democracy, yes, we've attained our freedom. But economically, if you look at the economy of the country, it's only few families, very few, four or so families who are controlling the economy of the country. So the Youth League of then and now are pursuing that struggle. Now the no part. The no part is that I get very much disturbed and worried when young people, because all those leaders that you mentioned, they took personal development very serious. We cannot lead by common sense. You know, when I was still in Taung, there was one organizer of the ANC called MEC. He's a former member of the provincial legislature. He's a veteran now. And I was eager to get employment. One of the things he said to me is that, Collen, you are still young, Chana, you must go to school. Now, I'm worried when young people do not take education serious. As I said, you can't lead by common sense. And if you give you the land as government and say, give plus and that run with it, you can't, if you have not developed yourself as a young person, you are not going to be able to run that far. So I'm worried when young people are quite materialistic, don't take education quite seriously as they should. And we must discourage our young people not to live their life that is not theirs. If you give a young person, if you expose a young person to an opportunity, one of the first things that most of them would do is to want to drive a very big car. Your X7, your whatever cars. Now, young people must understand that they need to take care of those little resources that they have and do the most basic things. Do I have a shelter? Am I able to help somebody who's going to bed hungry? And. So I think that is a no part that I want to say. But I want to conclude by saying, please, young people, take education very serious, because this is a key to success.
Well, then, having spoken about all the opportunities that you feel that education can open to young people, what's your department's strategy towards empowering young people, particularly those who are in your industry, the creative industry, and also publishers?
Well, I have had an interaction with the NWPG Publishing Committee. then one of the questions, and during my interaction with them, they gave me about 14 books to go and read. I don't know the hectic schedule, would I ever be able to finish them, but I will try my best to. And what I like about those books, I'll come to your question, is that 3 of those books, I'm told, were written by prisoners. Because the prisons in South Africa, since the ANC took over government, it's not an area where we must punish people. That's why we call them correctional services. We must correct them so that they become better people. So, and then I posed the question. I see that Lonaba Tokobo Kwenbu you are giving me these books. Is government, because we are, one of the mandate of the department is to build libraries. Are they buying these books from? You know, I went around opening libraries and so forth. There are books, and you know, because you are just walking around, you are not able to check every book if it is written by somebody from the Northwest. Is government buying these books from you? And the answer was yes. But I'm saying, you see, are they buying them in volumes? And the response was sometimes. Now, I said to the management of the department, we've got a budget to buy books. Why are we not buying these books in volumes? If there are 500 books in the library, my directive almost immediately is that 450 books should be published or written by people from the Northwest. And I'm saying that because I know that those people who are writing books are making a living out of it. I then posed a second question to the committee. When we buy these books as government, where does the money go to? And I must be honest, I was not happy with the response. The response is that the money comes to us, and then we then give a portion to the people who have written books. I then said, no, this thing must change. You know, if you look at your artists, let's take Sahara as an example. May his soul rest in peace. Produced many albums. Ordinarily, a boy from Matsing called Collen would say, no, Sahara is sorted. She has made it. But you all know what happened. So we can't have people. That's why I even gave a warning to artist management companies that we can't continue to abuse our artists like this. The Zaharas and everybody's, we've got one artist I like in the province. Not that I don't like others. I like all my artists, and we pledge to support all of them. So I just want to talk about Paige. You know, I did not know her until I became MEC and the first event of my department. She's very talented. Now, when I go to these places where young people go to, you'll hear that song, Anfunum Jolo. And all of that. Little did I know that she comes from the Northwest. Now, I think she also sold a lot of her things. Now, I then subsequently wanted to invite her to an event. Then she says to me, MEC, I would want to come, but I don't have a car. Then I said, but something is wrong. Because the Afunum Jolo Sizophumelela, everywhere it is played, everywhere you go it's played. So it means we are buying a lot of those things. But where does the money go to? If it can go to her and many other artists. So the department's role, when we had an event now in Atamela, I then said to the department, you take the money straight to Mabana, and Mabana must pay directly to those artists. So I think that is what we must do, because otherwise our people will continue, our artists will continue to be abused. You pay somebody 150,000 and the artist only get 15,000 rand out of that. It's wrong. It must change. So, but our artists as well, they need to stand up themselves. You see, because I'm a Christian, I believe that the only thing that can be all over is the Holy Spirit. So MEC Maine can't be all over like the Holy Spirit and seeing that these things that I'm talking to are happening. They themselves must be their own liberators. And they must learn from other artists that I've mentioned, that we can see, we come to with big shows. You see, if we all know, if Uzahara comes to an event, we would want to come. If Ma'ausi comes, if Page comes, and all of them comes, if they come, we want to come. But at the end of the day, they're not making anything out of it. So we need to change that. How we deal and operate with the artists. But lastly, we have opportunities for young people. We bought bursaries for young people in the department. Our young people must take opportunity of that. We have went out through Mabana, calling for proposals. We want to fund them. People in the creative industry, artists, even people who appear in TV, actors, TV from the Northwest. We just closed now. And I hope that as many young people as possible in the province, they have responded to that call. Because I have said, and I'm saying this, we are not going to, the department is small in the eyes of the people, but we've got enormous responsibility. With the little resources we are having, we're not going to spend them outside the Northwest province. For instance, a month ago, we had a boxing event in Dr. KK. And when I came into the department, promoters from other provinces, I don't want to mention provinces because it will be like I'm against particular provinces and I'm not embracing the fact that South Africa belongs to all who live in it. But Northwest money belongs to the people of the Northwest. Now, I ask a question in the department. How many boxing promoters do we have in the Northwest province? Because you see, there's nothing happening boxing-wise in the province. How are we going to be able to produce Baby Jake Matala? Now, they're saying to me, no, MSC, we've got proposals from 6 promoters. They want to host boxing events in the province. And my question is, how many of those promoters are from the Northwest? Now, it's only 2. One is female, which is very good. That's why we'll be funding as part of launching the 16 days against GBV in November, funding that boxing promoter, female boxing promoters. We'll be hosting that female boxers event in the province in November. They said no to me, MEC is 2. I said, okay, it's 2. We are going to fund only these 2. Because I can tell you now, without a blink of an eye, that if a promoter from the Northwest goes to any other province and requests for funding, they will not be funded. Not because they don't like him, but because people from other provinces, they know that they must help these people in the Northwest. The last point, I was also approached by people who want the province to host the summers. It's a very good, it's a very nice, glamorous event. Now they're saying to me, MEC, we are looking for 20 million rand. The government must pop out 20 million rand. And I almost immediately said, I am not interested. I'm not interested. Take it elsewhere. You know why? Because if I must spend 20 million rand, when I said earlier on when I started the interview, that the proposals or the requests from my artists in the province amount to 194 million rand. Then I spend a 20 million, I blow a 20 million rand on a one-day event, which is very nice. People who can afford come with nice clothes, nice cars and all of that. and spend the 20 million rand, I know that we'll be bringing tourism and all of that. On a one-day event, no, I'm sorry. I'm not interested. Unless if you say government must give you a letter of support and you go and look for money elsewhere in the private sector. That 20 million rands, I will go to provincial treasury and say, MEC Kennedy, give up 20 million rand for artist development in the Northwest, not for the summers.
MEC, government has recently launched the fourth phase of the Accelerated Service Delivery Program, Tunsalerole Reloaded. How would you encourage our public or communities to embrace this program?
Well, Tunsalerole is a very, very good program. And how I wish and pray that our communities must embrace this thing. And what I like about the Reloaded, remember I was not in the 6th administration. I've been out of government since 2015. I only came back now. But the Reloaded Tunsalerole says during the feedback sessions, our communities must then engage with government and say, Ronamu was in Skral, we don't have this and this and that. Appealing to communities, members of our communities, residents of the Northwest, to embrace this program, because this is a program that takes government to the people. But I also pray that as people in power, we must know that our people are more powerful than us. We serve at the behest of the people of the Northwest Province. Without the people of the Northwest Province votes, we would not be where we are. And we need to serve our people with humility. I also pray, my last prayer, that it would not be a talk show. When government gets into an area, the impact thereof must be felt for the longest time ever. The last thing, when this concept Tunsalerole was introduced, the then acting premier of the Northwest Province, Ndadeno Nomaloi, said, Hotanale Tunsalerole bekele beke. But our municipalities, our service point managers, our district point managers, Tunsalerole must be every day. But I don't think that really that is happening. And Tunsalerole every day does not mean that we really tender like we do when we come. It means putting our people first, applying the Batopele principles. So that thing must happen almost on a daily basis, but at the provincial level as well. And it is coordinated from the Premier's office. We must have some monitoring and evaluation program to ensure that at Tunsalerole every day, and Tunsalerole people don't just come there when MECs and the Premier are there, then you are seen to be working. You know, we went to a hospital in Lichtenberg. Now, when we got there, we see that there was this male nurse who was now very busy with patients. I don't know whether he was registering them and all of that. And I then posed a question to one patient. Was this male nurse doing this? Or is he doing this because we're not coming here once off? Is he doing this every day? Or are they doing it only because we are coming? And this patient says to me, so, but something I don't like. So about let these sirens or not, they are now arriving. So let us seem to be doing something. So my appeal is to public servants to serve our people, because I'm a politician. If people goes to government prisons and they don't get services, they say, Pusoye, Haritus. They don't say, teacher maine ha ruti bana baka, or nurse mamang ha tuartus. So the Tunsalorel program is a very good program. Our people must come in numbers, raise their issues, and we've got a responsibility from a government point of view to ensure that we respond to our people and with honesty. Honestly, if people say we want this and it's not something that we can do or it's not something that is budgeted for, let's be honest with our people. This one is not what we can do in this financial year, but we'll see in the other financial years. So that we don't give empty promises.
Let's now address the issue of corruption. We know that it is but one of the pandemics that is actually plaguing communities. What do you think as a leader can be done to fight corruption?
Corruption manifests itself in many ways. I believe that there's a corrupter and there's a corruptee. But it's very simple. Very simple. We live and we know the people who are involved in corrupt practices. Law enforcement agencies must do their work without me, Collen, saying to them, no, I am Chalaman. You see, this chief director was acting on my instructions. So Bolaki is here. So if law enforcement agencies are allowed to do that without political interference, I believe that you can go somewhere. But secondly, is that those of us with the authority to decide who goes where, can we employ people who are fit for purpose? We must not employ a CFO in my department because that CFO is somebody that I personally know, and I know that the CFO, he or she, will be sitting in these bid committees. So I stand to benefit if he or she is there, even if they do not possess the necessary qualifications to be CFOs. And lastly, government officials must never allow politicians to interfere in the space that is not theirs. Because PFMA is categorically clear that politicians has got nothing to do with procurement processes in government. So no official of government, irrespective of allow me to get into a space that I'm not. Because I will then be bordering on becoming a corrupter, and the administrators will be people who are corrupted.
Okay. MEC, what would you like to achieve as an MEC within the department, which when looking back at it, you'd be proud to say that would have been your greatest achievement?
Well, part of my interactions was to interact with SAFA. I met with the president of SAFA, Denny Jordan. Then I said to president of SAFA, but as Northwest, we feel like we are stepchildren of the country. We don't host Bafana games, your kickoffs, and end. Then president of SAFA says to me, in which I agree with him, but your stadiums in the province. And I said to him, but you've got Royal Bafokeng. So little did I know that at the time when I came in, or just before I came in, Royal Bafokeng was no longer, in terms of AFCON, qualifying as a stadium to be used in terms of what their requirements are. You know, when you pass there, you see it is very beautiful and nice and all of that. But there are certain requirements that FIFA and are looking at. And I said to him, no, President, we want to host these games. And he said to me, no, look, next year, MEC, there's AFCON Women's Cup coming. We don't need quite big stadiums for that, because the response, and I don't know why is it like that, the response to people coming to watch the women in soccer, it's not like how people would respond when it's Bafana. So we just want 3 stadiums quickly. Are you able to give me those stadiums so that we can as SAFA then decide that this cup, AFCON Cup, Yabasadi Teko Northwest? And honestly, the answer was no, because all our stadiums, as I said, Royal Bafokeng, but at least at the meeting, the CEO then clarified, no, Royal Bafokeng is now back, it's recognized, because at the time there were some minor maintenances that they had to do. So the state of our stadiums, you look at the Olympia Stadium in Rustenburg, your Olin Park in Potchefstroom, our own Mamato Stadium. So part of my engagements with the private sector, for this current financial year, to deal with Mamato Stadium, for instance, we only have 2.5 million. And if you get into the stadium, I said to the officials, can you just tell me how much we need? We need around 30 million to bring the stadium to where it used to be. So then if you are allocated to 2.5 million, really, what are you going to do? So when I leave as the MEC, if I'll be very happy that Mamato Stadium is back to where it used to be. I said to them that, look, Mamato Stadium used to host. The first time I went to the stadium was in Mabato during the Vodacom Cup. So that 59,000 capacity stadium, if I leave this department and it can host those games, it meet all the requirements that FIFA, I'll be very happy. And Olin Park Stadium and Olympia Park Stadium. But I'm happy that through the engagement with Rustenburg Municipality, a mining company has came on board to come and build Olympia Stadium. So it's a private sector. We must go and work with the JB Max Municipality to ensure that we do everything possible. And if we have these 3 stadiums, Royal Bafokeng, Olympia, Olin Park working, we can then host the Women's Cup next year. Secondly, in the creative and arts industry, during August month now, we got about 20 women and we put them go St. Anglican Church here in Mafikeng. It's a Roman church. I don't know if the name is correct, the Roman church. Now we were training them how to prepare the business plan and finances. Then I asked the question, the colleagues here, we are training them by the business plan, the finances. And so what? After this, so what? I then said, because I travel a lot in the country, there are 2 brands that I want us to compete with as a Northwest. We can't compete with Gucci and Louis Vuitton. They are way out of our league. But there's a brand called Amaxhosa. And there's also one now, Konge Kuhamba Kahle. Now, I want us to have something, you'll see what they call it. Now the name I'm having Motswana. So they say what they call it. We must contest those brands. Something from the Northwest. Now I said to this women. You see, because they are doing different things. Now, if only one is going or a fashion designer, or a traveling, or down and all of that. Well, people go for it's wow, so. I then said, let's group these women into cooperatives, which I will personally fund from my pocket to help them to register these cooperatives in these different things they are doing. But I'm more preoccupied with this competition. And I went to Mabana Mafiking. There's many spaces that are not used because they can't, almost we must give them space to operate from there. They must be, it's a flagship program of the MEC. So when I meet with these other people that I'm going to be meeting, is that these people, they need these machines, they need this and that, because I know that government alone, the budget we have not been able to help them. But out of the thing to women, we've got 3 cooperatives that deal with different things. Because I said to them, whatever that you are doing, if you're doing it, come at saying alone, forget about it. You will never grow. I even made an example, Toyota. For every town you go to, dealership ya Toyota. So these things that you are doing, let's start with you, go Mabana, put you in an incubation program after 3-4 months. I believe that you've got no time to waste time. 3-4 months. And after that, government work with you, you establish a shop somewhere else, 2 or 3 shops somewhere else. You get a footprint all over the province. And you will then grow to have footprints in the country. You will then have grow to also compete, go Decorex. I went to Decorex now, go something, to go and support our artists. So in doing that, I believe that these 3 cooperatives and many others are things that we must invest in. So I'm very happy if we have our own Amakosa. But they must go and look at their own name. I'll be very happy. The other thing that I'll be very happy that if the Premier Cup that I spoke about produces, if you see the products that does cup, or the Bona, or the PSL Cups internationally, Northwest players, Lucas Hadeb, abroad, I would be very happy. The very last thing, the department, second last thing, the department in all 16 sporting codes, they prioritizer. Now the minister has just introduced them. We are spinning the car now. So it means, because whenever the minister speaks, it becomes a policy. You must then incorporate this thing, But if you look at the sporting codes, when I was appointed MEC, one journalist asked me, are you a sporting person? Because I like rephrasing questions. And I got this from the chairperson of the ANC, Comrade Kwede Mantash. Must not allow you journalists to put things in us. And I then rephrase. I said, no, let's rephrase the question. The question should rather be, where were you born? And I said, I was born Now, cricket, rugby, it's only netball and soccer. So when I leave this department, Kibona rugby all over the province, like the Holy Spirit. Kibona cricket, so that we Africans should not only be known for netball or the soccer, the indigenous game, the khadi, the keto, and all of those things. So we've got an academy in Potchefstroom University, High Performance Academy, or High Performance Center in Northwest University of Potchefstroom. We are funding it to the tune of 8.9 million every financial year, and it's a whole lot of finance. But if you look at it, who does it serve? A particular section of our society. It cannot be. So I said to the department, I'll be very happy that when I leave, at least every district must have a high performance center. And why? It's because my discussion with President Denny and I also met the CEO of Netball South Africa, is that all these people who are successful in sports is because they are taken to this, who are attached to institutions and who goes to this high performance center. Because if we wanted to be a better rugby player or a soccer player or whatever sport, the system you monitor. Or are you doing the things? Are you eating healthy? Are you doing this and that? And. So if you only have that in Porch and it only serves a particular section of our society, I'm not racist. I embrace the fact that South Africa belongs to all who live in it. You must get me correctly. But a performance center that government funds can't be only taking care of a particular section of our society and then must keep quiet and continue to give money as government to it. No, it cannot be. Not under my watch at least. So we've got a team called Orbit, Eko Rustenburg, Eko NFD. So I want a high performance setup for Rustenburg. We want them because I've said that, which goes to my last point. I've said that, and at least the Premier agrees with me. We don't want to buy a status in the PSL. We must earn it. So if I leave this department and a team, it's going to go PSL, a team or teams, it's going to go PSL, I'll be very happy. But it's not through buying the status. It's through us as government deliberately putting in the resources, supporting the teams that are qualifying on their own, but also by decentralizing high performance centers. Because if Orbit is to reach the PSL side, it's in an incubation program, a high performance center. People don't know. Sundowns came to Potchefstroom, high performance center, Potch, but some are getting. So it's because the owners or the management of Mamelodi Sundowns, by its high performance centers, are very important in the life of a sporting person. So that's why I'm saying that we must decentralize them. Orbit and other teams in Bujanala must have access to those things. So I'll be very happy if we achieve this thing. And lastly, be very happy that when I came into the department, I was bashed or introduced to a clean audit. So I said to the HOD and the team, we must not take the foot out of the kettle. We are the first service delivery department in the province to get a clean audit. So let's sustain it.
Now, MEC, just to take us into confidence, when you're not at the legislature or busy with your portfolio, what do you do? What type of a father, a husband, a friend are you? What do you like to do beside politics and your administrative work in government?
Well, you won't believe me. I have not seen my children now for 3 weeks. Not because I don't want to. I love my kids very much. But this responsibility that you are given requires that, and with all these things that I want to achieve, requires that you must spend most of your time pursuing your dreams, because I've got dreams, the breaking new grounds dreams. But when I have time, I've got a voice that I like going out with. And when I have time, I want to spend time with my beautiful wife. But at least my family understands that Banchera Levatuba Northwest. I'm a very loving husband, a very caring dad. But like I'm saying, I've not seen them for 3 weeks. They understand that we have been given a responsibility. After being appointed, as MEC, my last born asked me, Daddy, but what is this thing? Yeah, MEC of sport. What is this MEC thing? Then I take him through what it means. He then said, do you think you'll be able to do it? I said, with your understanding and support and agreeing that I'm somehow going to be an absent father, you will see me. And then he said, I can only wish you the best of luck.
Well, then let me join him in wishing you the best of luck in your new role, MEC. MEC, we're now moving into a segment where we have widened the platform of engagement by inviting the public to submit their questions to you via our social media platforms. Right now in front of me, I have a set of questions which were pulled off Facebook after the public submitted them. We will now select about 5 questions which I will pose to you, and then you will respond. I'll have a member of my production team just to assist me with them. Quite a lengthy one I chose here, MEC. The first question says, greetings, MEC. I would like to know what happened to the recording studios that were launched in districts in the past years. Are they still existing? That's the first question. And then it says that we as local artists that don't get exposure because we are not friends or are denied to be friends with those who call themselves the pipelines. That's what he says. How is the department going to popularize us because we do not have friends or connections or have been part of them? Those are 2 questions. The first question, he says that there were recording studios which were launched in various districts. Are those still existing, and how will they benefit us local artists? How do they get access to opportunities within the department?
Well, to be quite honest to the person who posed the question, immediately after the interview, I was not exposed to the fact that there are recording studios in districts that were launched. And how is government, how is government maintaining or taking care of them? So I'll have to go and look and get clarities from the department, and then we'll then respond with honesty, because I don't want to say yes or no now, because I must get that information from the department. The second question is that artists, government can only help you this much, as I said when I started. Because I believe that you are in that industry, we must help you to shine. You're also going to make a living out of it. Come to the department at the end of the interview. My phone numbers are not private. I'll give out my numbers. People of the Northwest must have access to us so that we understand better what she's talking about, because she's saying that there are some pipelines or whatever she says, or he says. I don't know if you say he or she says. You come to me, we talk about it, but we have got the responsibility as government to help you to a certain level. And this I said even to this they must understand how they are not going to be dependent on government. Government must give them the platform, and through their work, they must expose themselves. So, but she must come, or he or she must come. I'll give them my numbers, and then we'll talk from there.
Well, the second question is from Tebogo Ramesega, who asks, when is the newly built Dinokana clinic going to be completed? When is the newly built Dinokana library going to be completed for operation? And when is the official opening of that particular library going to take place?
Well, the first question, the Ibuaka clinic at Dinokana. So I would not be able to respond to the issue of the clinic. I'm sure MEC Lehare, when he comes, will be able to respond to that. The Dinokana library is at 85% completion. I want to urge our communities and say to them, you see, if Babona kaho elentle, kamontle, they must not then assume that it's ready for it to be handed over. Because we're not going to hand over a library as nang motlakase, as nang metsi. One of the things I'm doing as MEC now is that before we open a library or whatever that we built, I go there. So I was supposed to go to the Nokana. I went to my Dibiama Khaban. Then the building is nice, complete, but I want to meet you, Matlakas. So go to Nokana, the building is inside. I started thinking the tile, so we can't open it until that. But we want to open the library before the end of this year. Okay. So it will be opened. But my appeal again is that after opening those libraries, members of our community must take care of the libraries that you're opening, because often at times is that when people have got issues that are making them angry, let's say there's no water, people will then say, because those things has to, so they must help us to take care of it. Once we hand them over to the communities, it's now theirs for them to serve them. It's not government.
Well, a third question comes from Letlhogonolo Kobile, who asks, when will we have Mabana Center in Rustenburg?
Well, when I started the interview, I said, go Rustenburg, operator from a very dilapidated school. And part of my dreams, breaking new grounds, engagement, and others, is to say we need to have a fully fledged Mabana, ko Rustenburg, or ko Bojana, but we've got a land now, a refuge on ko Rustenburg, Maspala. So our engagement with these other sectors, I hope and pray that they will produce the results of that Mabana, ko le personal refuge. We don't have also a building go take care of operator from a Kanana hall, but refuel of Alabama. And N12. And then said, we're not going to go to N12. It was processed through because we want young people to access this institution. So if you take it to N12, it means it's going to be accessed by the elites or those who can afford. So we say Alabama, Jobetina Ekamo, Tloratsela N12 fellows and Alabama. So it will be able to serve. So for Rustenburg, we are still engaging. I hope and pray that my engagement will then produce that Mabana Center.
Well, Faith Sambo's question to the MEC says, greetings MEC, please give us an update on the status of Olympia Stadium in Rustenburg.
Okay. Olympia Stadium, like I said, it was closed for some time because there were technical issues, because we ought to be a responsible government. We can't, when you are advised that technically the stadium's not matat, but fortunately, like I said, there's a mining company working together, the Rustenburg local municipality. They are busy attending to those technical issues. How long it will take, I don't know. But I would want to urge them. Or Barbara take speed to go to Dubai. Go to Dubai, go China. They work with serious speed. If you went to China or Dubai, I want to person empty in the past 3 months. But in 3 months, it's something very big. So I'm just hoping that they will work as speed to go to Dubai to China to bring the stadium back to life, to also address the issue. Okay.
Well, the final question, MEC, is from Jevaro van Rooyen. He says, we have a project of a library here in Utlwanang, Lekwataimane municipality. This building has deteriorated so far back since it has never been completed. There has been a murder which took place there and a lot of other criminal activities. How do we hold leadership accountable for the wasteful and fruitless expenditure of government funds? That's the first part.
Well, I know about that library because the speaker of Lekwataimane municipality engaged me during the opening of the legislature about the library. Remember, municipalities also built libraries. So that was a project, Yako Lekwataimane municipality. And the municipality, the speaker, because that library is in his ward, he gave me a full background about the library what happened. The contractor had to leave site because there were payment issues from the municipality. It's not a library that was built by the department that I'm leading, but I've committed to the speaker that we are going to be working with them to ensure that we finish the project. But also the ministry at national level has given a directive which we are working on now. Remember now what happens at the library is that we get the money as a department and then we transfer money to municipalities for them to maintain and with the library. But now there's a directive from the ministry, as far back as Napoha, Minister Natin Teto, that the Provincial Department of Arts, Culture, Sports and Recreation must take back these libraries from these municipalities so that they are managed directly from the provincial department. So it's going to be a phased-in approach. So we are going to be taking the library so that we just bring that library stature of a library to this library. So at the moment, money, but I've been engaged. I've committed that we'll go and finish the program, though it was not something that was started by us.
Okay, then. That also responds to the second part of his question, where he's asking whether this library will remain a white elephant and if leadership has means and strategies in place to revisit the project. I believe that the MEC has responded to that. Well, that's all we had time for with you in our discussion, MEC. I believe in the last part, you can just give us where can people access you if they want to engage with you.
Okay, no, thank you very much. We are situated more the office called Habo Moto, just back opposite the African Convention Center. And like I said, we serve at the behest of our people. I don't know the landline of my office, but I know my cell phone number.
Okay.
And my cell phone number is 076 6070 466. You are more than welcome to call me anytime of the day, as long as I'm phoning after 12 o'clock midnight, because I always sleep after 12 o'clock. And sometimes I'll phone about you're not going to get hold of me because I may be in a meeting. Just drop me a WhatsApp. I'll come back to you. Also, department in a Facebook page, in Instagram, and so retema faratlatleng o ka bua le rena ko na le page ya ka ya mo go ne Collen Maine ke ya puso private to ka bua le rena ko mere ko pa fela gore ba gaetso le sepela re roga le rona re batho re batla go le serva mara re dirisane mmogo.
Well, that's all we had time for today. Don't forget to follow us on our socials. We are on Facebook, TikTok, and also on YouTube. Do remember to join us again as we'll be engaging with yet another leader within the Northwest Provincial Government. Till then, ciao.